Welcome to the Harriet Taylor Upton House. It is the third oldest house on Mahoning Avenue and was built in 1840 by Colonel Simon Perkins, who was a wealthy settler of the Connecticut Western Reserve. He owned the territory from Western Reserve Road in Boardman west to Toledo, north to Lake Erie, and east to Sharon, Pennsylvania. Simon passed the house down to Henry Perkins, his son, who had a mansion built across the street and moved into it. It is now the home of Warren's City Hall. Ezra Taylor, Harriet's father, purchased the Perkins house, where all of the Perkins children had been born, and it is now known as the Upton House. The parlor. This room was the formal parlor where Harriet entertained important guests. The piano was made in Boston and ordered by catalog to be sent out west, but it never made it past Parkman, Ohio, and was stored in a barn for years until it was donated to the Upton Association. It has been refinished by one of our board members. The picture above the fireplace was painted in 2005 by a former Upton board member. The stenciling on the walls and ceiling was done by one of our other Upton board members. The pier mirror was originally in Harriet's home. When Harriet lost everything, house, books, furniture, the mirror was purchased at the sheriff's sale by Zelhart Deming, a suffragist and close friend of Harriet. Zell was the owner of the Tribune Chronicle. During the Depression, Harriet lost everything and was penniless and moved to California to live with her cousin. Harriet passed away in 1945 and was cremated, and her remains were buried in a pauper's grave. In 2010, the Upton Board of Directors began the process to bring Harriet's ashes back to Ohio. In August of 2011, her remains were buried in her beloved garden on the property of the Upton House. You will find her grave in the back portion of the Upton Gardens near the statue. The dining room. The wall between the windows was built to accommodate a huge wooden sideboard made for Simon Perkins. It is currently located in City Hall. This room can seat 50 people at a sit-down dinner. It was the scene of many candlelight dinners for national and international dignitaries. The presidents in the picture have eaten in this room: President Garfield, President Cleveland, President Hayes, President McKinley, President Benjamin Harrison. Also, Susan B. Anthony and Thomas Edison have been entertained in this room. The long picture on the wall was taken to honor the convention of Ohio Women's Suffrage Association in 1916. Harriet is in the center of the front row holding flowers. This picture was found in the basement of the Warren Tribune. The wall treatment is called Lincresta, which is made in London. The association ordered this, installed the covering, and painted it in Victorian colors. The border was hand-painted by one of our board members. Purple was a suffrage color. The library. This room was Harriet's library and office. She brought the national headquarters to this house in 1903, but had to move it to the courthouse when it outgrew the space. It was later moved to New York. In 1909, it was recorded that 1,000 pieces of mail were being sent out. This house served as the Ohio headquarters. Harriet served as treasurer of the National Women's Suffrage Movement for 15 years and worked as a suffragist for 30 years. The house has unusual window framing inside and out. The architecture is Egyptian Revival as seen in the public areas of the house. This is one of the few houses west of the Appalachians constructed this way. The doors have covers over the keyholes that prevented drafts, but more importantly, prevented peeking and listening to conversations behind closed doors. The loon on the top of the bookcase represents a story about Harriet's youth. The owner of the house the Taylors rented on Mahoning Avenue was holding an auction in the neighborhood. One item for sale was a large stuffed loon. Harriet wanted it, but she had not saved any money. Finally, when the sun went down, the owner asked her if she wanted it. Afraid that her family would not let her keep it, she took it to her bedroom. It became her best friend. In the bookcase are books Harriet wrote. A Chicago firm asked her to write the history of Trumbull County, which includes information about her father and the history of the Western Reserve, 1910. She also wrote the early presidents, their wives and children, and children's books. They included St. Nicholas and Wide Awake, the Home Magazine, and the Children of the White House. On the wall are pictures of women in the suffrage movement, a letter from Susan B. Anthony, a map of early Warren, and letters from President Coolidge and President W.G. Harding. The museum. This is a special area in the Upton House that pays tribute to women's suffrage. On the wall, it has several Ohio Women's Hall of Fame members, including Harriet Taylor Upton, Phoebe Temper Sutliff, Zell Draz, Elizabeth Hauser, Nettie B. Ashelman. Also, there's many suffrage banners and artifacts that are on display in the museum, books, posters, pamphlets, everything you can imagine. There's also a chronological permanent display of Harriet's accomplishments and of her race for Congress. And upstairs, front of the house, we have 3 rooms, a large bedroom with furnishings from the time period, a sitting room, again with furnishings from the period, and a children's room. And in the hallway upstairs is a tribute to an evening with Barbara Bush. Barbara Bush came to Warren, Ohio, to the Upton Association and spoke at Packard Music Hall. And also there's a plaque on the wall for the Designers Hope House, which was the fundraiser back in September of 1989 that generated the funds to save Harriet's home.